Hola clase, Senior Boyle here. I just want to talk to you about some things that are very important to make sure that we're all on the same page. So this is urgent and crucial for you to understand how to finish well. I've mentioned a few of these things, but I wanted to put everything all together in one video that explains as much as I can at this point about how to continue doing the best you can in Spanish, okay? So here's the first thing. How is your work going to be graded? Well, I want to let you know about a new grading rubric. This was approved by the administration at the high school and at the junior high so that it could simplify how grades are given to students. Now, we're not supposed to be giving tests and quizzes because how do you do that? How do you accurately administer those, and how do you grade those without, there's so many different variables that play into it. So really, you have one category of work, and that is, we'll call it like classwork. So that one category of work will be where all your grades come from. Instead of like before, you had like 80% was your tests and 20% was your classwork and stuff like that. Really, what's going to happen is all of your work is going to be lumped into one category. At least in Spanish, it is. And it's simple grading. So the first one is a 0, which means a student didn't do the assignment. Now, that makes sense, right? You didn't do it, don't see the work, give them a 0. A 1 is that the student began the assignment, they partially completed it, but it's not done. A 2 would be that the student did the assignment completely, but it may not demonstrate mastery of the work. So I would say that a 2 it's complete, okay? But there's one more category, and that is 3, that all components of the assignment were completed at a high mastery level. In other words, student did the work, student really understood, fully comprehended what's going on, and the student demonstrated mastery. Now, a lot of times what happens is students will do work, and they do it completely, and they deserve a 2, but maybe they have mistakes on their work. Maybe they didn't understand something, and they end up with a 2 and not a 3. What do you do about that? Well, when you turn your work into me, if I give you a 2 and you would like to redo, make corrections, and turn it back into me to get a 3, not in every single case, but in many cases, you'll be able to do that, okay? So for those students who really want the best grade they can, make sure you do that, okay? So 0, 1, 2, 3, I know that seems simplistic, but it does help. And it'll help you to think of it in a very non-complicated way, and it'll be quick to grade, okay? So from now on, in Google Classroom and in School Tool, I will be showing the score out of 3 points for everything. That'll just keep everything all on the same page, and it'll be easier to follow. Okay, the second thing that I want you to see is how to get credit for your work. Okay, so there's been a little confusion about this, which totally fine, because this has been such a learning curve for everybody. But when we're done, we'll all be geniuses and experts with regard to remote learning. But here's how you get credit for your work. Sometimes I give students Google Classroom assignments. What this means is, let's say I give you a worksheet. I can actually give you a worksheet through Google Classroom. And I've done this with my Spanish 1s quite a bit. And that is, you click on it, you click on the assignment in Google Classroom, and then it gives you a sheet, and you fill out that sheet, and it's kind of built into Google Classroom. And then you still need to mark that sheet as being done. So if I give you an assignment like that, you have to do it in Google Classroom. Make sure you mark it as done. Google Classroom already knows what document you're talking about, I think. I'm pretty sure that that's the case. Don't forget to mark as done, okay? Once you mark it as done, it's turned into me. You can't change it unless you unsubmit and then make changes and then mark it done again. I'll go through that work. I'll give you a grade. I'll return it to you, and you'll see your grade. Okay, the second one would be, I've done this for my Spanish IB students, but I might be doing it for other classes as well. I might give you a homework assignment that you would normally write on paper. For the students that have a book, like the IB students, a textbook, I may give you an assignment like this, or I might tell you, write this in a Google Doc, give me 5 sentences that say such and such. So if I tell you to do your work in a Google Doc rather than handwrite, then what you would do is you just create a Google Doc, but then you have to add that document in Google Classroom. There's a button for add. You click on the add button. It'll ask you where that document is. You go to your Google Drive and you find that document, you add it. And then once you added it, you can mark it as done. So I think you've done that in school for me before we went into the quarantine, but that is a way for you to do work on paper. It's not really on paper, it's electronic, but it's unlike number one. Number one, I already give you a sheet that's all, ready to be filled out. Number two is you just start fresh. I believe you did this for your Devil's Minor writing. Okay, you just created a Google Doc and you put it through. Okay, the third one, I've given a couple of these for some classes. Let's say, for example, I just give you some notes and I have no way of telling whether or not you saw the work, did the work. I mean, I give you a slideshow, or I give you a lecture and you take notes on a piece of paper and you write some questions. I don't know if you've done that except by giving you an exit ticket. So the exit ticket is like proof that you did the assignment. So, and it's probably going to not be any more than 4 questions. You got to put your name in there, what period you're in, and then it'll say something like, what was the most important thing you learned? And the last 2 times my Spanish 3s did exit tickets, they turned out really, really well. I saw some great responses for things students said that they learned. You have to do the exit ticket. If you do the exit ticket, you get a 3. If you don't do the exit ticket, you get a 0. If you do the first 3 out of 4 questions on the exit ticket, you get a 2. In other words, the exit ticket is an actual assignment that you have to do to get credit and get a score for it, okay? The third thing would be an Edpuzzle. We just recently did one, and sorry about the frustrations for that not connecting. I think I just made a mistake on where the links were coming from. I emailed Edpuzzle like, hey, I got this problem, try to help me. Really what it was students assisted me and helped me. Students are really good with, you can find out a lot of information from students. They teach you a lot of things. So anyway, thanks to those students that helped me out with that Edpuzzle. If there are broken links and it doesn't give you access, just email me and we'll figure it out together, and that'll help everybody, okay? Now, Edpuzzle has its own gradebook. So once you're in Edpuzzle and you do the assignment, it'll show me that you've done it. I just go to the Edpuzzle website and I see your work there. So you don't need to turn that into Google Classroom. You just need to do it in the Edpuzzle, okay? There's also a thing called Padlet. I don't think I've done this with my Spanish 3s. I'd like to. I have done it with my IB students. The IB students did an amazing job with this. It's pretty simple. You click the links that I give you. It is linked. The links are provided to you in Google Classroom, but it is also separate, like Edpuzzle. It has its own website. When I go to the Padlet website, I can see all your work all on one page, and you get to see each other's work on one page. And in that Padlet, it shows you there's a little button that says there's a plus sign. You click it and you can add content, add your answer, your response, your sentences, whatever it is that you want to add. You can type a comment, you can make a short video, you can do anything like that. You can add a link. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. And then it sort of puts your work on a page somewhere, like a big collage, and you get to see other people's work, and I get to see your work. So there's nothing to turn into Google Classroom there. Just you start in Google Classroom, and you find that link, and you go there, and I'll see it there in Padlet. 6, Flipgrid. We've done Flipgrids. Same thing. Flipgrid is its own website. The links will be provided to you in Google Classroom, and I'll see your work in the Flipgrid. Okay. A couple more things. You need to check, especially starting right now, check School2l for your grades. So I've got 2 or 3 grades for each of my classes right now for the 4th quarter. And I see some really good students who always turn their homework in. You might have a 0 or 2 because maybe you didn't see something. That does happen. So here's what I'll do. The day that it's due, I'm going to grade it, or the day after. I won't grade it before the day it's due. I'll grade it no sooner than the day it's due. But when I grade it, if I don't see your work, I have to put a 0 in. And the reason I do that is because it is so difficult to go back and recheck everything a second time. I mean, it takes a tremendous amount of time and energy to do that. However, I will give you a grade if you make up work. I'm not going to give you a 0 permanently, but I'm just saying that if you see a 0, here's what you do. Go to Google Classroom, check the dates, try to find the assignment you're missing, do the assignment, turn it in. If you still see a 0 after, 3 or 4 days after that, and you're like, I did that, please send me an email, okay? So that way, we both help each other to make sure that nothing is missing. Because in this cosmic cyber world, it's going to be easy to miss stuff, okay? I think we're doing way better than we were when we first started this, but we're still having some troubles. So go to Google Classroom first, find the missing assignments, do them. Now, if you get to the end of it and you're totally stumped, just ask me. Be like, I don't know where this assignment is. I thought I did it, but just communicate with me via email. I hope all that's clear. Okay, last thing. I think this is the last thing. How is your 4th quarter going to be graded? Well, it's not 100% clear yet. In other words, I don't know how that 0, 1, 2, 3 is going to turn into a grade. And the reason I don't know it is because I've been told by administration, and I sent an email asking, look, you need to clarify this. How are you going to convert the 0, 1, 2, 3 into a percent? Is that what we're going to do? Are we going to do a pass-fail? We don't know. I don't know yet. So here are a couple of possibilities that I think may happen. One of them is to convert the 0 to 3 directly to 100% scale. The only problem with that is that a 2 student completed the work is a 67. If a student completed their work, they deserve something higher than a 67. So it's either a 0, a 34, a 67, or a 100. And there's not enough possibilities in between. I am not going to support this conversion. Personally, I don't think it's fair. The second possibility that we may see come through is to convert 0 to 3 to a percent that accurately reflects the level of the student work. For example, a 3 could be a 100, a 2 could be an 85, a 1 could be a 60 or a 50, and a 0 would be a 0. I don't know. So that's a possibility. Once again, I'm waiting for administrators to tell us what that is going to look like, and we don't know. So here's another question, and I don't really know the answer to this, and I'll tell you as soon as I find out. What's going to happen with the grading system? Because each quarter, each of the 4 quarters is worth 20%. The 5th 20% is your final exam normally, right? Or final project. So you have 4 quarters, quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and final project all divided up evenly to equal 100%. Each one is worth 20%. Well, are there going to be final exams? Are there going to be final projects? Don't know the answer to that question. I know that the regions are canceled, but that doesn't mean you're not going to do a final exam. Don't assume things, okay? So there are just too many unknowns right now for me to explain to you exactly what you're going to do for your final. Don't assume it's going to go away, okay? If you assume, that makes you know what out of you and me. Okay, so don't do that. I want my Spanish IBSL ones to keep in mind that this is a college level course. It's a college credit course. There are people getting credit. I had to prove to SUNY Potsdam that the course is continuing rigorously enough for them to issue credit, so you wouldn't get a refund and nothing out of it. You'll actually get your credit for that course. So we have to finish. We can't just call it quits. Same thing with SL2. SL2 Spanish seniors, it's a college credit course. Now I know that you guys, you SL2 people, you feel like you're done because you did your IAs. And I can understand why you'd feel like that. You're like, I'm done. How many people could say, I'm done? But really, you're not really totally done. It's not my job to break your back or to overload you with work, but it is yet to be decided what the end of the year will look like. Okay. So we're almost there. And I want to tell you, it's not going to be something that is like some kind of like, very difficult situation. But I want to tell you that, we're not quite 100% finished with everything yet. So anyway, I just wanted to say hi to you guys. This is my intro video for you. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day.